This episode contains discussions of depression, suicidal thoughts, and related mental health challenges. Listener discretion is advised. If you are struggling or feeling overwhelmed, please consider reaching out to a mental health professional. Welcome back to episode 5 of the Pondering Parenthood podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I'm here with the person who actually makes this podcast happen.
That's so sweet. I love when you give me shout outs.
It's true. Everything is you. Tell the people who you are.
I'm Meghann.
Yeah.
Co-host.
But really, I mean, sure, the co-host, but you do all the editing, you do all of our... We have a whole lot of social media stuff going on that you've been doing. Yeah.
It's been my, summer hobby.
Yeah. I mean, that'll probably all drop off the minute you go back to school.
It's already dropping off.
Yeah. We're at the time of recording this, we're 2 weeks out from school starting up.
Yeah. I was, hyper focused on social media and creating reels and all of that and just putting so much energy into it, and now I'm okay.
But yeah, so we're here, episode 5. This episode will be just a you and me episode. I believe you have some things you'd like to start off with.
Yeah, I have some housekeeping that I'd like to start off with.
Meghann is clearly a teacher. She's going to reprimand all of our 25 listeners.
That's the sound of a whip. Okay, very first thing that I want to talk about is basically I'm just going to have everything stop. Okay. And our listeners need to look at whatever platform you're using and hit the like or follow button on whatever platform you're listening on. So like, follow, share, subscribe. So we're just going to give you a second to do that.
Just pause the episode right now. Just pause it.
Stop driving.
Yeah, stop what you're doing. Definitely don't do this while you're driving.
Pull over the car.
Pull your car over. And just go ahead and punch that.
And you know what? While you're at it, just give us 5 stars too.
Yeah, rate.
Maybe throw us a comment.
Go on YouTube. What's our YouTube?
Pondering Parenthood pod.
Don't even know the name of it. Go on Instagram and.
We are on Instagram, YouTube. We have an email.
Do we have a Facebook?
We have a Facebook page.
Just like us everywhere you can find us. Just go on to all the different platforms and look up Pondering Parenthood Podcast. If we're there, like us, follow us, so that way we can retire from the jobs we currently do and just do this.
But really, if you want to engage with us, Instagram will probably be where it's at. If in the future we're able to actually do some more engagement posts and hear from you guys, that's the place it'll be happening. So go ahead, and that is the Pondering Parenthood Pod on Instagram. You can be our friend. So that is the first thing I wanted to address. The second thing is, we had said in our very first episode that we were going to be releasing episodes twice a month, and I just want to give a correction. We are only releasing once a month on the first of the month every month, and we just never edited that. We knew that before we had posted that initial episode, but didn't we say that we might do it twice a month? Occasionally, if we feel like we have the bandwidth, we might release a bonus episode mid-month. But just wanted to clarify in case people were like, what the heck? I did also just want to give a shout out if you are a listener of our podcast and you feel like once a month is not enough and you are just itching for more content. I want to give a shout out to another Vermont podcast that I found recently who's doing very similar work. And it's called Quiet Connection. The host is Chelsea Myers, and it's all focused around postpartum mental health. And I've been listening to it pretty consistently, and it's very good. We are hoping to collaborate with Chelsea at some point in the future. So give them a listen.
Yeah, I've listened to a few episodes, and Chelsea's story is is wild. And yeah, if you're just like can't get enough of the whole parenting thing, Chelsea focuses on sort of the sort of birth stories and postpartum stuff, and it's really really cathartic listening. So definitely highly recommend. So as I said on today's episode, it's just going to be us. And we really, speaking of postpartum, we're really going to focus on postpartum with our firstborn, Snuz. The postpartum with the second one, Mouse, was not so bad. I think we both kind of knew what to expect. It was a different time of year. And it was just, I mean, she was an easier baby for sure. So we're going to set the groundwork for postpartum. I think Meghann has some Q&As for me. I've got some stuff to ask you. But I want to set the scene a little bit for kind of what Snuz came into. So prior to Snuz being born, Meghann and I had a dog, and we had a dog for, Kirby, we'd had him for 2 years maybe at that point?
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. And Kirby was a rescue, and from the beginning, he was a challenge. He definitely had a bunch of anxiety. Leaving him home alone was a real challenge. We had to come up with a variety of strategies to avoid him destroying the house. We went through several iterations of a variety of trainings, and in preparation for having a baby, we actually did like a training
specifically to welcoming a newborn.
Yep. We had been working on getting him to not sleep in the bed because he slept in the bed. We were concerned about what that might look like with the baby. And so we had been doing a lot of heavy lifting to try and make sure that things would be ready when the baby came, and with Kirby. Still had a whole lot of concerns, but we were going to figure it out. So it was Christmas, and Snuz wasn't due until February 4th. And Meghann was very pregnant. Mm-hmm. It's Christmas. We spent Christmas with Megan's family, and Kirby was laying on the couch, just snoozling. And one of our family members at the time, a sister-in-law, was looking for something in the couch. I can't recall exactly what she was looking for. And she went to go move him, which, in retrospect, I probably should have stopped her. I wasn't really thinking about it. But she went to go move him, and he bit her in the face.
Yeah.
And
we'd had some scenarios with him prior, like he would growl, he would kind of nip at people, but nothing where he hadn't like given a warning sign before.
Yeah, he had never like actually bitten anybody.
Right.
Like, he had moments where there was one time where he put my whole arm in his mouth, if you recall, but he didn't bite down. And we had been working on this whole, like, when he's on a piece of furniture, we'd spent a lot of time working on those sorts of things, and we'd gotten to the point where we could get him off of a piece of furniture without there being any issue at all. I don't know what happened here, and again, I probably should have stepped in. I in retrospect,
you were there.
I was sitting right. I was sitting right there, but I wasn't thinking about what was going on.
Yeah.
And so he bit her in the face, and it wasn't. I have a friend who actually had a piece of his lip torn from a dog. Yeah. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it was bad. And a lot of stuff happened that night. That night was a total wreck.
Yeah.
But we basically were like, we're having a kid in 6 weeks, and we have a dog that just bit someone in the face.
Right. And recognizing that at some point we're going to have a toddler who's toddling around and grabbing things and unpredictable movements.
And so as much as it was heartbreaking, we made the decision that it was time or we had made the decision that we were going to have to rehome him.
Yeah.
We didn't come to that decision lightly, but he just was so unpredictable, and obviously toddlers are not exactly predictable themselves. We just felt that it would be best for both Kirby and our newborn to not be in the same space together. So that happened in December. And then Snuz came
New Year's.
So Kirby bit my sister-in-law in the face, and like 6 days later we had a kid. We did end up rehoming Kirby in January to a home that we think worked out really, really well for him. And apparently, we had him on anti-anxiety medications. There were a lot of things that we couldn't do. And apparently within a few weeks of him living, or within a few months of him living with his family. Yeah,
they had so much land, they could just have him off leash.
They had another dog with them.
Enough exercise, which we couldn't do.
Yeah, so it seemed like it all worked out really, really well. But so we had this whole rehoming of, biting situation and then rehoming of a dog. Snuz was born on January 1st, 2021. For those of you keeping track at home, the insurrection on the Capitol happened January 6th of 2021. We also had COVID going on. And, of course, we live in Vermont. It's January. It's cold. It's dark. Taking a newborn outside is not really doable. So these are all the things that are happening as we are having a newborn. And the first 5 weeks were really fine. Snuz did all the things a newborn does. She ate fairly well, breastfeeding, while maybe didn't start off quite well, quite all that great at the hospital. And things kind of came along with that. She slept, she ate, she pooped, she slept, she ate, she pooped. First 5 weeks, no problem.
Yeah. And she was 5 weeks early, so those 5 weeks, she probably should have been in my body still. But yeah. She was just a potato. She's
just a potato. I mean, which is exactly what you want from a newborn. I mean, if the more of a potato a newborn is, the better everything is. I actually went on a friend of mine's podcast to talk about what it was like to be a new dad. And I remember sitting in that interview and, how are things going and things like that. And I was like, guys, things are going really well. Things seem to go be really simple. I mean, I'm waiting for what's going to happen, but for right now, I mean, we're tired, but things are going all right. And I shouldn't have said any of those things, because I believe the next day everything fell apart.
It was pretty soon after that.
So you want to talk about kind of what we experienced, like what made that postpartum period so difficult?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge with her was that she would scream, and she didn't have just like, now that we've had two, we can compare. She didn't have just like your typical baby cry. It sounded like she was being tortured with knives when she cried. And it was almost like she would take this big breath in and like hold it and then just wail. And we dealt with these hours of screaming at night. We actually ended up having to take turns. I remember like the hardest hours were like 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and we would
every night.
It was like clockwork. You just knew. I mean, and that wasn't even to say that like the rest of the day was fine. She was very unhappy throughout the day, but she was a little more manageable and she would sleep for naps and stuff. But 5 to 8, like, screaming, and we would take turns in the rocking chair. I would just be rocking her, feeding her, whatever I could do, and you couldn't do anything, so she'd just be screaming in your arms.
And then she'd fall asleep in your arms.
Yeah.
And then you'd try to put her down and she would immediately wake up and start screaming. And it was basically like you just go for as long as you can, and then it would just be like, all right, I'm done, your turn. And then, like, the next person would step in, and then they would do it for as long as they can.
Yeah, and we would have to, like, flip-flop our dinners. So, like, you would eat, I would be with the screaming child, and then we'd switch. And it went on like that for months. A very long time.
For months.
Very long time.
For basically what you would consider the fourth trimester.
And I remember, like, not wanting to, because, you hear about colic. And I remember not wanting to label it colic. I, like, was so desperate for answers, and I knew colic didn't really have answers. Like any research you did, it was like, well, a lot of people don't really know what colic is. It's just might be digestive related, but really we don't know. And so I would just obsessively look online for answers and like reach out to Facebook people like in the Facebook community, like trying to get as much information as I could as to like why this was happening. And just there is no, there's nothing you can do. And anything that people would recommend, like, oh, put her in the stroller, or go for a car ride, or go outside, like none of that worked. She hated the car seat.
Well, we couldn't do strollers because we were
in the middle of winter. Yep.
And so we didn't even really want to bring her outside all that much because of how cold it was. But she hated the car seat. When it became spring and we could put her in the stroller, she hated the stroller. She would just scream in the stroller. The only way that
we couldn't go outside because it was so cold.
The only way, I mean, even you mentioned napping. Like even with napping, she would not nap by herself. So, like, I remember I have very distinct memories of, because we also did we were both teachers at the time. We did our leave at different times because again, Snuz was born in January. We were trying to get through to the summer without any childcare. I would spend 3 hours of the day with Snuz strapped to me. So she would sleep, and she would pass out, and she would sleep hard for 3 hours in the middle of the day, strapped to me, and I was just nap trapped, and I couldn't, I'm not a big video game person, but I played so many video games because I was like, I'm here.
You would bounce on the ball with the carrier on with her
to get her to go to sleep,
and playing the Switch.
And then like she'd finally go to sleep, and I'd like lay in bed, and I would just play the Switch. And those 3 hours, even though she was strapped to me, it's like she's calm, she's quiet.
You didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And sleep was bad.
She didn't sleep through the night. I mean, gosh, she didn't sleep through the night until like
18 months.
18 months.
Yeah.
Like she just, those first, really, I mean, for me, like the first 4 to 6 months were just
brutal.
They were just brutal.
Yeah. It was very, very difficult.
So, of course, we were very fortunate in that, we live very close to your parents. And your mom was with us, and I mean, it makes it even crazier because it wasn't just the two of us; it was also
we had
your mom.
We had a good amount of support from her,
and even with that, it was very challenging. And one of the things that I remember being very frustrated by at the time, by a lot of people, we were not the first people to ever experience these things. Mm-hmm. Obviously, lots of people experience this sort of thing, and countless people at work, family, would say things like, "Oh yeah, I experienced this with my first or second born or whatever. It gets better. It gets better." And then, of course, advice. And I just remember being so frustrated by that at the time, which is funny because now I often will tell people.
Yeah, you can't.
Because the thing is that, like, when you're going through it, somebody saying to you, it gets better, I know it's because it does. It does get better. It does get easier. And certainly with our second born, anytime we experience anything, we are able to have that mantra of, oh, it's going to get better. It's going to get easier. But man, I would get so frustrated by people saying it's going to get easier because I genuinely didn't believe it was going to get better. And
a lot of people would give us the marker of the 3-month mark. Mm-hmm. So they would say like, and you'd read this in articles too. It's like, oh, well, the first 3 months. And an entire month just feels so long when you're in it. You're like, so I have to do this for another month? And then the 3-month mark came, and it didn't get better. Like, it was still I think all the way through the 4th month, maybe even into the 5th month.
Well, she hit the 4th month regression. I mean, she had every regression incredibly hard.
Yeah.
But that 4th month regression, she hit really hard.
With sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, sleep got worse. We actually ended up co-sleeping. I don't remember. It's all a blur, like, in the timeline of when we started co-sleeping, but it got to... I never wanted to co-sleep. Like, I was one of those judgmental parents who like, couldn't,
We co-slept with her for months.
Yeah,
because that was the only way that we could sleep.
Yeah, we hit the level of sleep deprivation where it's like, we can't... And I was back at work, so, like, I couldn't just be up for hours at night.
Yeah. Which is funny because our second, Mouse, has never co-slept.
Yeah.
And on the very rare occasions where she's had trouble, we've tried to pull her into her bed, and she won't do it. She won't go to sleep in the bed.
She thinks it's like party time. Yeah. She gets more amped up by being in the bed. But as soon as you'd bring Snez into bed, she just
passed right out.
Passed out hard. And, I mean, yeah, it was... It saved us, so...
Yeah, so... for the parents out there co-sleeping and having any level of guilt around it,
we see you.
You do whatever you got to do to get those kids to sleep, as long as you're being safe with it. Look, I mean, cultures, we humans have been on the planet for 100,000 years, and for the vast majority of our time here, we've been co-sleeping. So
yeah.
But we also had friends who totally saw what we were going through and would say things like, yeah, you're, strap in. You're,
Yeah. So in response to one of my pleas on Facebook, I was just, like, desperate for answers. Like, please, does anyone have recommendations? Have you gone through this? And someone reached out to me, one of my Facebook friends, and she was like, yeah, I just told my husband about your post. Unfortunately, his answer was, yeah, tell them they're
So, people want to give advice. You're not, I mean, at least from my perspective, I'm a very stubborn person, but I'm not really interested in advice. People would say it's going to get better. And I genuinely didn't believe it was going to get better.
I do remember at one point I was like, well, she's not going to be an infant forever. Like, at some point she's going to be like a 10-year-old. And you were like, no, she's not. She's going to be this age forever.
Well, and that's a pretty good segue into the fact that, I mean, I had for quite a while. I mean, I have somebody who has dealt with depression and anxiety for the vast majority of my life. And I didn't realize it at the time, but for sure, I experienced some serious postpartum depression.
Well, yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, because I know that I've labeled it postpartum depression for you. Like, I remember going on a walk with a friend when Snez was maybe like 6 or 7 months. We were like on a walk, and I was like, I think Mike had postpartum depression. And it wasn't ever something like you came out and said, but, like, do you think that's what it was?
Yeah, well, I mean, I genuinely believed it was never going to get easier. I was like, this is our life now. I genuinely believed that we had ruined our lives. I mean, we had this great life. We had bought a house. We had a great relationship. We did things. We went out.
We traveled. Travel was a big thing.
We had like this really great life, and we then had this kid who, obviously having a kid, things become more difficult, but because of the constant screaming, because of the lack of sleep, everything was so much more difficult. And I genuinely had felt that, like we had ruined our lives, that we had made a mistake. I felt very broken. I felt very, I felt like I had a challenge that I could not overcome.
Yeah.
There was nothing about for me, really the first year, where there was nothing where I felt bonded. Like, I felt like it was a chore, right? So, like, I've got to change the diaper. I've got to, like, feed the kid. There was none of it brought me any joy. It was just like I had to keep this kid alive, and yeah, I didn't feel any level of connection. And that's hard.
That's hard, yeah. I remember going on a walk. Again, it was like one of our first early spring walks, so she was probably like 4 or 5 months.
No, at that point she would have been like probably, well, yeah.
It was still kind of cold, so I think it was like 4 months.
Yeah.
And you were like, I can't do this again. And that was like devastating, because I needed to I knew that I needed to have another kid. And so to hear you say that was like gut-wrenching. Like, I didn't know how to come back from that.
Wait, and just to be clear, I'm not a gray area person. I'm a black and white person. So in that moment, it wasn't, I don't think I can do this again. It was, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, I can't do this.
I remember saying things like, we're just going to get divorced.
Yeah,
like,
you're
this
like,
kid is going to lead us to divorce.
This is going to break us.
Yep. And, so, again, like, I have experienced depression and anxiety. I have a level of hypervigilance. I've got a history of trauma. And so I think I spent that year in just a perpetual state of survival mode. Like, I felt attacked. And I had not started therapy yet. I certainly had grown in a lot of ways, but I'm a very different person today than I was when we had snuz. And I think if I were to do it all over again right now, I don't think it would be any easier, because again, I wouldn't know anything about having a kid, but the fact that I am at a better baseline today than I was 4.5 years ago, I think I would have been able to handle those things better. I still think bonding would have been difficult. I'm very much a compartmentalizer. Like, it's difficult for me to, like, in those beginning stages, you're not getting anything back.
Yeah.
You're not getting smiles. You're not, even to the point where, if you recall, because I wasn't bonding with her and because I wasn't really actively pursuing time with her, I was basically just there when I needed to be there. She wouldn't calm down for me in the same way she would calm down for you or even your mom. I would hold her and she would just scream and scream and scream, and then I'd pass her off to you and she would immediately stop. And I blamed her for that. I said things like, she doesn't even love me. She doesn't even care about me. Meanwhile, she's like 5 months old.
An infant.
The reality is that I wasn't putting in any time or energy or effort into building that relationship with her. And there was a time where, like you were saying, like, Mike, that's not true. Like, of course she loves you. Like, she treats us the same, da-da-da. And she was screaming, and I put her in her little bouncer, and I turned her to me, and she started screaming. And then I turned her to you so she couldn't see me, and she saw you and immediately stopped. And then I turned her away and turned her to me, and she started screaming again. And then I turned her to you, and I just looked at you, and you were like, yeah, okay, all right. But again, in the moment, I was very much blaming everyone else. But the reality is, it's even true now. Like, I can tell with both of our children, if I'm very busy at work, if work is very, very busy for me and I'm not putting in time with my kids, the way they interact with me is different than if work is a little bit less busy and I am putting that time in. If I'm playing games with my kids after they get home from work or when they get home from school, if I'm reading them books, if I'm putting the time into that relationship, then they give back.
Yeah.
If I'm not putting the time in that relationship, then getting them to follow directions is much harder. Getting them to provide any positive relationship with me is much more difficult. So obviously with a newborn, I was like kind of like a stranger to her
and
for a while.
I was breastfeeding. I'm the mother. That's also just naturally going to happen, where the baby's more bonded with the mother in those ways.
That's true. And
it was,
I've done it with a second now.
Yeah.
And
no, that's a really
and
good
point. And to be clear, I feel incredibly bonded to both my children. I feel like I have a very good relationship with both of my children now. Things are still difficult with Snuz because she and I are exactly the same.
Very stubborn.
We both are stubborn. We both have this strong sense of justice. The amount of times that she and I get into these bickering matches, and you just look at me and you go, "You're the adult. You're the adult." So I feel very, very bonded with both my children. But the second time around, I knew what to expect. I was hoping things would go better, but I was better prepared for what was going to happen. And because of that, I put more energy and effort into that relationship with Mouse in the beginning. And because of that, the bond happened faster. And I got more positive interactions with her because of that. And I think had I put that time and energy into it with Snuzz, I think I would have gotten more positive reactions.
My
sooner.
memories of those early days were, now that looking back, like I don't think I could have described this in the moment, but you were very withdrawn. Like you were carrying her and bouncing her, and like you know, you would do all the things, like you would do all the diaper change. You were still very, very much there through everything, but emotionally you were completely withdrawn, and you would spend hours on video games, which, like, we were escaping. You were either you would be on your video game, and again, you'd have her strapped to you, so it was like, well, you're still doing something for the baby, right? You'd either be playing video games or you'd be reading your Kindle, and it would be hours of that, where you would often say, like, well, I just need time, I need my space, and I need to fill my bucket, and then you'd have all these hours of pockets to do these things for yourself, supposedly, but then, like, you were never feeling full.
Yeah.
In fact, you'd come out of it
and feel almost
and
more
feel
depleted.
worse, and because you were just wasting all this time. I remember you'd be like screaming at the video game. I'm like, this doesn't seem like it's helping you.
Yeah. Well, that was right around when I had started playing Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, and that game is like so open ended that you can just lose yourself.
Do literally nothing for hours and be done and be like, what did I just do with all my time?
Yeah. So looking back, like that's what that was.
Yeah.
So I do think it's important to just note, because I get, like, I'm listening to a lot of these podcasts, and I'm very much in the know of a lot of this information now, but like just even talking to my family the other day, mentioning postpartum depression, they're like, men don't get that. And I think it's really important to just like take a moment and state that, like, men can suffer from postpartum depression as well. It's very well known for women, but it's actually like 10%, and that's probably underreported because a lot of people don't report when they're going through these really difficult situations,
and especially men. Yeah,
definitely. So some of the statistics I saw were like 10 to 13% of men experience postpartum depression.
And what's important to note is that there's a lot going on there, right? Because when you're the non-birthing partner, you are so concerned with the care of the birthing partner that the idea that there's any space or room for your emotions, it's hard, because like I didn't give birth, like I didn't just go through a C-section, like my hormones aren't going crazy, I'm not having to worry about feeding the kid, like, I remember at that time it was like my job was to make sure that you had everything you need so you could just focus on taking care of the kid, like, and so like anything, and this is actually counterproductive, I think it made things worse, but like any failure or falter in doing that I wasn't fulfilling my job. And of course I'm a helper, like my value in a lot of ways, my self-worth comes from my value to others, which I'm working on. But at that time especially, I was very steeped in this idea that I only have value I only have self-worth if I'm providing value to you. And so the idea that like my emotions would be getting in the way of my ability to do things for you really impacted my sense of identity, It's like, no, I'm a good partner because I'm doing these things. And so I think when you're a non-birthing partner, the idea that you would take away anything from the birthing partner because you're having these emotions becomes another reason to just push them down and to not really talk about them.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, like, factors, because obviously for women it's a huge hormonal crash, right? That's contributing to some of the postpartum depression. But that's not always the case. Like, you might have a history of depression and anxiety, and then, like, because that stage is so difficult, like, you're going to experience those things.
Yeah.
Which is, it's all still depression in the postpartum period, right?
Well, and you know, not to just focus entirely on me, but, you know, you had your moments, and there was that one doctor's appointment where the doctor...
Yeah, I definitely experienced, like, the quote-unquote baby blues, and I remember days of just, like, breaking down and crying for no reason, and, like, multiple times a day, and just being really sad, and not really being able to explain it. And then we went, I think it was her 2-month appointment, so it was around the time that we're talking about. We did, like, her whole checkup, and then the doctor was, like, talking to you for a little bit. You didn't give a ton of information, then she turned to me, and she's like, how are you doing? And I just lost it. Like, I just started sobbing. I honestly don't remember, like, what I said, but I think for me it was so much tied around not being able to help her. Like, I was the mother, and I should be able to know exactly what's wrong. And I wasn't able to do that. So I think that was a big part of my struggles. It was like my sole responsibility I couldn't do. And she seemed like she was in pain all the time.
Yeah. She didn't have similar to me, she doesn't have a whole lot of gray area. It was either she was fine or she was being torn apart from the inside.
Yeah.
There was no, like, whimpering. There was no, like, subtle crying. It was, like, no crying or, like, a level 11 crying.
Yeah. And we were trying all these things, and the last thing the pediatrician was like, well, maybe it's an allergy. And maybe you could try, changing up some of the things you're eating to see if that's going to help. And I was, like, at such a broken point where I'm like, I can't have one more thing, like, taken away from me right now. Like, I need to not think this is, like, because of me.
Right.
And so I didn't end up doing that. And she doesn't have
she doesn't have any allergies.
Who knows? I guess that changes, right, when you're newborn to older, but yeah.
But you, it looks like you've brought some criteria.
Oh, yeah. So I was just curious because to, like, diagnose depression, I have, like, the criteria to see if you feel like you resonate with these from that time period.
All right, go ahead.
5 of the 9 symptoms.
So you're going to ask me a criteria.
Whether or not you feel like you had it during that time.
Okay, go ahead.
Depressed mood most of the day, nearly every day, as indicated by either subjective report. Example, feel sad, empty, hopeless.
Yeah, I felt we had ruined our lives. So, yeah.
Check. Number 2. Markedly diminished interest or pleasure in all or almost all activities most of the day, nearly every day.
Yeah. I mean, I felt unmotivated. So, I would say that probably was, I would check that one off.
Significant weight loss when not dieting or weight gain.
No, that's never been part of my depression. I mean, I've got a thing with food anyways, but I've never been, like, the kind of depressed where I'm not showering or I'm not eating. Sometimes, I mean, I'll like, eat more often with depression, but I've never had, like, significant weight loss or gain with depression.
Yeah. There's, like, 2 of these that I feel like are difficult just because of because
Yeah,
it
go
was
ahead.
postpartum,
Yep.
but insomnia or hypersomnia nearly every day. And it's like, well, how do you piece those apart, right?
No, yeah.
'Cause you're-
But even so, that's never been also never been one of
Okay.
mine.
Psychomotor agitation or retardation nearly every day. Not merely subjective feelings of restlessness or being slowed down.
I don't know what that is.
I don't psychomotor. I assume that's like feeling super slow.
Lethargic? Yeah, I don't know.
Fatigue or loss of energy nearly every day.
Definitely.
Yes. Feelings of worthlessness or excessive or inappropriate guilt nearly every day. Diminished ability to think or concentrate or indecisiveness nearly every day.
Yep.
Recurrent thoughts of death, not just fear of dying, recurrent suicidal ideation without a specific plan.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent most of my life thinking about that stuff, so.
So yeah, that's 6 out of the 9.
Yeah, so there you go. Definitely would say I was depressed at that.
Yeah. Some info on, because you know me. Deep dive. Research. So about 10% of fathers, occurring in 10% of fathers, PPD has the highest prevalence within 3 to 6 months postpartum, but might insidiously develop over a year rather than 4 weeks postpartum. Additionally, irritability, indecisiveness, and restricted range of emotion might be observed more frequently in men. And then this I found interesting from a Cleveland Clinic article. When a baby enters the picture, it can cause changes in male hormones. There's evidence that testosterone decreases after the birth of a child. Researchers theorize this could be an evolutionary change that helps fathers bond with and care for their babies, but low testosterone can share a lot of symptoms with depression.
Because testosterone's a poison.
So I thought that was interesting. I never thought that men were hormonally affected by...
I mean, that makes sense, right? Because, like, if there's a baby in the picture, testosterone does...
so you're less aggressive and...
Less aggressive, but also, like, you have a baby, you shouldn't be trying to create another one, right? Testosterone is the driving force there.
Interesting.
So, one of the things that I'm curious about, it was really easy at that time and then after that time to be, like, focused on myself. And I would just say things. I mean, I am this way, and it's, again, I'm working on it. I say things, and I'm not really concerned about the impact it has on other people. I did say things like, I can't have a second one. I'm not going to do this again. I did say things like, we've ruined our lives. And so I'm just wondering, I've never really asked you, even in recollecting that time frame, I've never really asked you, like, how did those things impact you at the time?
Yeah, it was really hard. I do think I was also crying a lot. And I felt like I kind of had to emotionally be aware of where you were at in the midst of, like, obviously caring for a newborn. And, like, trying to keep the stress level lower. And so, and I took a lot on myself with her because you didn't have the capacity a lot of times, like her screaming, like you could only handle so much of that before you had to tap out. So I definitely feel like I really tried to be the sole person for her, even in times when I could have asked for more help. Because I didn't want to, like, put more stress on you, knowing that you were struggling. You were struggling a lot more in those emotional feeling. Like, I don't know. I had no problem bonding with her, even though that was all hard. Mm-hmm. Like, even though it was really, really hard, and I wasn't maybe necessarily enjoying it. Like,
You still felt very connected to her.
I still felt very connected to her, and I think I had a better foresight that, like, this is a phase.
Right, it's going to get better.
It's going to get better. So, yeah, it was definitely really hard. I'm trying to think of, like, other details, but...
I mean, this is what I was just talking about. Like, often as the non-birthing partner, there's this sense of, oh, I can't get these feelings out, or I can't express that I'm not happy or whatever, because I don't want to put more things on the other partner who's just given birth. But it actually has the opposite effect, right? Because, like, you obviously recognized that I wasn't doing well, even though I may not have been able to express it as well as I'm expressing it now.
Yeah.
It all came out in really way more negative ways. And so now you're playing this game of, like, I don't really know how he's feeling, but I know he's not happy, so I'm going to try and make his life easier, but I don't know how that's going to impact things. And so by not being able to express it and talk about it, by holding on to those things, it made things worse. It actually made things harder. If I had been able to be in a place where I could say, look, I'm not doing well. Like, I feel lost. I feel broken. I feel, you know, I just feel done. I feel...
Do you think you could have expressed that?
No, I'm not suggesting that, like,
I don't know if you were super aware.
Well, no, I wasn't. I mean, really what happened was I had a really good friend of mine at 4 months old. When she was 4 months old, we were in the Albany area or Troy area visiting friends, and you were offered the opportunity to go and take a bath.
Yes, in like a jet.
Yeah, and you were like, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And so you went and did that, and I had some feelings about that because I'm like, I'm here with my friends, and like, you're gonna go, but Snuz was sleeping and it was fine. And then during the bath, Snuz woke up, and I like had to go and like rock her as she was screaming while you're in the bath. We're there with my friends, and like, I was furious with everything. I was like, I just want to be with my friends. I want this to be easier. And
you wanted it to feel like you didn't have a kid at that point. Like, I remember that trip and just everything. You were like, I was having to like explain to you, like, she's not developmentally ready for this right now. Like, she's not going to do whatever we want her to do in a moment. Like,
But all right, and our second born at 4 months old would have fallen asleep and just stayed asleep. And
you're right. Temperament.
Yeah. So I mean, I it wasn't like what I was expecting was just, oh, she's asleep, she should stay asleep, because she woke up like an hour after we put her to bed.
Yeah.
And so
I hate those days.
You came out from the bath and you were like, I'll take her, you can go down. And I went downstairs, and I remember just like everyone was standing around, and I was just kind of, we had started a fire, I think, but everyone was standing around inside. And I was just standing there staring, and my buddy, I can shout him out, my buddy Dave Blumenthal. 107. My buddy Dave Blumenthal was just like, hey, are you all right? And I was like, no, I'm not. And there are very few people that I have met who can do this, but in Dave's incredibly non-judgmental way, we went outside and I just unloaded and said awful things about how I had been feeling, and just like responded to it with like, well, it's gonna get better, or and Dave just said, that sounds really hard. That sounds really, really hard. And he said, why haven't you reached out to any of us? He was just like, we're here for you. We what can we do? And that was it was a moment where I said things that I realized I had been holding on to, and saying them, I felt 1,000 pounds lighter. I just felt like I'd been freed. And the fact that I had a friend who could hear those things and recognize that these are things being said at a time of desperation. They're not necessarily truly, how I was feeling. They were just, I was broken. And that there was no judgment, that there was no, it'll get better, that there was no, it was just, he bore witness to my pain.
Yeah.
And you know, I've had the opportunity to stand in for friends and say that and be there for them in that way since. And that changed the game for me. I mean, it didn't make things easier, but the fact that I knew that I could say those things and that I would still be loved and cared for.
There are friends that I've just been so fortunate in my tribe because I have found people who are very open and have, you know, a couple of them had kids after I had kids, and I felt comfortable, you know, when we would video chat, you could tell they were struggling.
Yeah.
And, like, being able to say to them, like, it's okay to hate it right now.
Yeah.
And I think people don't hear that, don't think that they can talk about it, and it's a really hard period. Like, and, you know, it was especially hard because of the temperament of Snuz, and, like, there are some babies that are just so easy. We had one with our second, but, like, it's okay to say that something is really hard.
And even if the baby is easy, that doesn't mean that it is easy.
Yeah.
It's like, it's still hard. Like, if Snuz had been an easy baby, maybe it would have gone differently. I don't know. Like, it could have been exactly the same.
Well,
you know?
I think even there's research that has shown that, like, a woman's brain almost goes under, like, reconstruction when they have a kid. Like, everything is changing, and nothing is routine anymore. Like, you're trying to find this, like, new normal, and so, like, that's just so insanely hard. And it's, like, okay to not shy away from saying it's hard and that, like, I need help, or I just need to talk to someone. And I just want to say, like, I'm so fortunate that I have people in my life that, like, feel open to talk to me, and people that, like, I know I can talk to.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going through something in that time period too.
I think my big takeaway from all of that is, like, it is first of all, if you have feelings, you should talk to somebody.
And I think it's so hard for men. Like, it's so hard. You shouldn't
ever feel like you can't unload this. Like, it needs to be unloaded, because I mean, I experienced it. I didn't unload it, and I made things far more difficult for everyone around me. The other piece of it is, if you are somebody is unloading to, be like my buddy Dave. Just bear witness to the pain, because I wasn't looking for somebody to fix it. I wasn't looking for somebody to find solutions. And I know, especially for men, I mean, we've experienced this in our relationship, to the point where now I ask you, when you're unloading, I'll say, do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to fix it? Because, and not to make things gender specific, but I do find that men often are solution-based creatures. When a problem pops up, we want to solve it. And for women, a lot of time, a problem pops up, and you just want to be able to talk to somebody about it, and for somebody to say, that sounds hard, or for somebody to be like, I'm here for you. What can I do for you? And that's what I needed in that moment. I didn't need people to tell me it was going to get better. I didn't need solutions. I just needed somebody to say to me, yeah, that sounds hard, and I still love you. Mm-hmm. And that's what Dave did for me. I mean, I've said it to him many times, and I don't think I could ever express in words just how meaningful that conversation was for me. I mean, it changed the game. And those are my biggest takeaways, that, like, if you are experiencing postpartum, like, even if you can't name the feelings, you need to talk about it. And if somebody's talking to you about what they're going through after having a newborn, you just got to bear witness. They don't need a solution. They just need you to be there for them. Yeah.
And it did get better.
It's amazing.
Slowly got better.
I would say now it's amazing.
I mean, you looked at me tonight. You were like, I just love them so much.
Yeah.
No, we're in a completely different space now. Yeah. But I think our generation is getting is breaking through a little bit, in that I'm noticing at least that people are becoming more comfortable saying hard things and like talking through hard emotions, and like things don't need to be hidden, or that true vulnerability, right? Like we should want to share, because your sharing might help someone else who's going through something.
Well, and that was the other thing I was going to say was what makes postpartum, I think, so insidious is that you've just had this baby, and the only emotion you're supposed to feel is joy.
Yeah.
You just had a baby. That's amazing. And that's, I think, what's so insidious and so nefarious about postpartum is that you're supposed to feel joy, and yet you don't.
Yeah.
And how could you possibly not feel joy when you have this beautiful, wonderful thing?
Yeah.
And I think, like, the more, as you say, the more that people share about it, the more it's like, yeah, no, I mean, it's a complex. It's not just joy. There's a lot going on. There's the grief of the life that you've lost. We've talked about that with my Aunt Michelle. There is joy around having this thing. There's the feeling of just desperation and exhaustion because none of your needs are being met. Like there's just a lot. There's a lot.
Complete sacrifice. You're just like giving all of your needs up to meet the needs of this other being. You had a friend that reached out to me while we were in the hospital, and she just said something like, congratulations, like, I'm so happy for you guys. But I just want you to know I'm here. It didn't really hit me until about 4 weeks in, but like, if you're going through anything, like, feel free to reach out. Like, I'm here. 'Cause it can be hard. And I remember thinking, like, some people might like take that and be like, oh, well, that's a downer. Mm-hmm. But I really appreciated that, like, just someone saying, like, I'm here if anything gets challenging.
Yeah. I actually said that. Anytime I have a friend that's having a kid, I often will say to them, like, totally normal to not feel great after it. And, like, I'm here. What's hard is that, like, when you're going through it, the likelihood that you're going to reach out to somebody is pretty limited, especially because you're busy taking care of a newborn. And so, like, I'm not great at this, but, like, trying to keep in touch with your friends that have had a newborn, and just, even if they aren't responding, like, hey, how are things going? I'm here, and this and that. It's really helpful.
And just, basically this entire story here, like, we're sharing our story. There are some people who don't experience any of this. Some people experience complete ease. Some people might not go through a lot of hormonal situations, or just feel like it was a very easy transition. And so I want to, like, leave space for, like, it doesn't matter what your story is. Like, everyone experiences something different, but, like,
we didn't experience postpartum with the second at all.
Yeah. So, like, it's not saying that everyone's going to go through this and it's going to be horrible. You know what I mean? Like, but it's important to share what you've gone through in case that's going to help someone else, I think.
I agree. All right, so current events. We're going to play a fun game. This game doesn't have a name, unless you can think of a name, Megan.
Is it a game?
Well, I don't know. It's not really a game. We thought it would be fun to talk about current events in our kids' lives by talking about the things that are happening right now that we really, really love, and the things that we don't really love.
Yep.
So, do you have any? You want to start?
Yeah, maybe, like, I'll share, then you share, then you. Is that how you want to do
it?
Share
love. I'll share a love, then you'll share something you don't like, and I'll share something I don't like.
Sure.
We'll go back and forth. Okay, go ahead.
Snuz is learning how to read. Love. It's been so fun. She's so into it. She absolutely adores it. She loves reading before bed. Like, it's the best.
Yeah. And that's all because of you. I mean, and her desire to do it.
She has been intrinsically motivated to, like, adore books since she could crawl.
I mean, she's always loved them.
I always say the story that when she learned to crawl, she crawled right over to a book and grabbed it.
Yeah.
She loves books.
Yeah. so this isn't specific to either child, but one of my favorite things that I adore right now is the way the two of them interact with each other.
I had that relationship.
They are, I mean, they're at a point now. There was a moment the other day. I was doing a bunch of stuff outside, and I was working on the basement. I was cleaning up, and the girls were outside. It was a beautiful day. It wasn't too hot. It wasn't too cold. It was just absolutely gorgeous out, and the sun was low in the sky, and we have a great view. And I was just outside, and I hear this giggling to the point like it was like I had to stop. I froze because it was just it did something to my nervous system. Like it just the giggling, and I just saw them, and they were just chasing each other. Snuzz would chase after Mouse and then tackle her, and then they'd get up, and then Mouse would chase Snuzz and tackle her, and I just stopped what I was doing. I was fully present, and then I just chased them, and I tackled them, and we played for a while in the grass, and they just their relationship and how it's developing is just such a thing to behold. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that was one of mine.
Something you aren't super excited about right now.
Wait, I have one more of love. Is that okay?
No, we'll go back to that.
Okay, okay. Something I don't like. Snuzz gets out of her bed multiple times every night. Not during the night, but just to get to sleep. We'll do her tuck-in. Everything's good. And literally within seconds, she's, like, out in the kitchen talking to me. I'm like, go to bed. And this goes on maybe, like, 4 or 5 more times. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, eventually she puts herself to sleep. What I'm trying right now, which I've been doing, I don't know, for, like, a week or 2, is, like, if you're not tired, just sit in your bed. And now that she's actually trying to read, like, read some of your books.
Yeah.
And she is doing that, but she still pops up and comes out.
Something that I really don't love right now. So Snuzz has always been a pretty good rule follower. It's pretty easy to get her. She's always like, she acknowledges boundaries, and she's like pretty good about that. Mouse is not. And even with the counting, with the taking things away, Mouse is just, you ask her not to do something, and she just looks at you with that grin, and then she does it. And
she thinks it's all funny. It
is so triggering. It's so triggering. And I gotta say, having girls who are like, I'm not gonna listen to you. I'm here for it. But man, is it tough to parent. And I can see a world in which I'm gonna have to really work on, like, not being triggered by Mouse not doing what I'm asking her to do.
Yeah, she's also just at that age where she's not quite fully aware that, like, there's a seriousness.
Yeah.
Like, she just thinks everything's silly and goofy, and like even an angry face, she's just like
And maybe I'm misremembering, but I do feel like Snuzz, like, I could change the tone of my voice, and Snuzz kind of picked up on that. But maybe I'm misremembering. Well, maybe
you're right.
Okay, another thing that you love.
Mouse just, like, yells everything. Like, just like, Mommy! Yeah. Okay, I'm coming. Okay. Like, everything is just, like, so loud. And specifically, she's in a why phase. So, like, you'll tell her something, and she's like, why? Mm-hmm. But she's just it's so cute.
And she's not just saying why because she's like,
yeah, she's not doing like,
she's
why,
genuinely
why,
curious.
why.
Like you'll say something, it'll be like, oh, it's time to go to bed. And she'll go, why? And like, I'll say to her, like, well, you know, we've had our day, we've eaten dinner, we've done that, and now it's bedtime. And she'll go, okay. Okay, thing that I love, Snuzz's vocabulary. She uses words, and she says things, the way she says things is like the kid's 4.5 going on 65. Like, she's just, Like the other day, we were talking about something. She's like, "Oh, well, that is awful," and I'm just like, "Who are you?" She'll say, "Oh, of course, of course, of course,
of course."
And just her vocabulary is just it's so funny. Like the things she says are not like necessarily that she's using big words necessarily, although she does. Like it's just like they're so weird coming from the mouth of a 4.5-year-old.
Yeah, like she has the phrases down.
Yeah.
It's so cute.
Yeah. All right. Something you don't like.
We're at a season right now where they come home and they're just covered in dirt from school, like head to toe. They both absolutely adore the sandbox. So anytime I pick them up, they are coming out of the sandbox covered in sand. So it's like immediate in the bath. We get the ring of dirt in the bathtub. So gross. And you just feel like you're constantly like washing them.
Yeah. And like you do, and then they're still dirty for some reason.
Yeah, they're
like
just grubby.
All right. Thing that I don't like. Snuz is so freaking moody. And she, again, like sassy. So sassy.
Yeah, we're entering a sassy phase.
And I mean, again, like I'm here for it. Strong, independent. I want to foster it, and I want it to stop. But she just like everything is great, and then she's yelling at me.
Yep.
And again, she and I are very similar, and I'm a very moody person, so I can't, something about glass houses and stones, but I really do not like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's end on a love.
Oh.
Do you have anything else?
Oh, I read through my list.
You don't have anything else you can think of?
I adore them.
What's one thing?
Oh, wait, I have another one.
Yeah,
Mouse loves to, like, put on shoes that are way too big for her. Or she loves like dressing up, so she's very good at entertaining herself, so you're not really like paying attention at a certain point, and then you like look over and she's got like a bathing suit bottom on her head, and she's wearing rain boots, sunglasses are upside down. She just, oh my gosh. And the other day we sent her to school, I think, in a baseball cap, like as her summer hat, and she kept turning it around, like she didn't want to wear it normally, so she's like wearing this backwards baseball cap.
Yeah, she's gonna be really cool.
It's so cute. So I love that.
So I said one thing I love about both of them, and then I said something I love about Snuz. I was gonna end on something I love about Mouse.
Oh, you're being fair.
But I was trying to be, but I think I need to do something about I love about both of them. One of my favorite things right now, and it happened tonight. We're recording on a Friday. Every Friday night is movie night, and we were sitting watching a movie, and I had one of them on one side snuggled up against me, and I had the other one on the other side snuggled up against me, and we were all just like cuddling and calm and quiet, and I don't know that there's anything better than that.
Aww.
I don't know that I can think of anything that makes me feel. I have a hard time feeling joy. Joy is not an emotion I experience a whole lot.
It's depressing.
It's, I'm working on it.
Okay.
But man, I definitely have had moments where I'm like, I'm not really sure if I was meant to be a father. But when I'm sitting on the couch and they're each like snuggling me and they've got their arms wrapped around me, and I can just feel their bodies there, nothing makes me feel more whole than that.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
And also, Mouse's hair is just so good.
Oh, yeah.
Mouse has got great hair.
Wild. Curly and wild.
So that's current events. That's what's going on in our lives right now.
Yeah. We're thriving.
We're doing
really well.
We're in a really good
We're
stage.
in a really good phase.
Things are really good right
yeah.
now. All right, and then we'll end the episode with our, in air quotes, couples counseling. So, as with most couples, communication is a thing. And we're gonna celebrate in couples counseling because it's important that we don't always bash our relationship, but that we point out the positives because there's a lot of good things that we do.
Yeah, I don't think we bash.
Well, I don't mean bash, but usually like it's like dissecting something
to work on.
A moment, yeah. So we went to, as of the time of recording this, we went to your family's camp up in Canada. Mm-hmm. I had gone up in June, and I had helped your dad, and also your brother Sean. Shout out Sean. We went and built a platform because there's not a lot of space at the camp. By the way, for those people who don't know, in Vermont, people refer to their camp as usually it's like a little cottage on a lake. It doesn't always have to be in a lake, but it's like a house that you go to and you vacation at. And this is a very small rustic cottage. There's not a whole lot of room for everybody, and so we built a platform so that way our family could put up a tent and we could all have a platform to sleep on with a tent, because there aren't really a whole lot of flat areas out there to pitch a tent. And typically when you and I have to put something together or build something or things of that nature, we don't tend to do very well because because
you have a very clear quote unquote right way of doing something.
I believe that there's a certain way you do things, and I believe that my way of doing things is right.
And it's not.
Well, and so I'll tell you to do something, or I'll explain how to do something, and you may not understand it. And then I get frustrated that you don't understand it, and then I try to explain it, and then there have been many times where you and I have built something, and it devolves into us fighting.
Yeah.
Typically. We put together the tent with zero bickering. There was no bickering.
No.
And there was no fighting. There were some moments where I had to explain something. I explained it well, I suppose. You picked up on it. We did it. We were able to put the thing together. And we broke down the tent at the end of the trip with zero fighting and zero bickering. And I think that's something to celebrate.
Yeah, and I'm just also awesome. So there's that. So I have some ideas. What do you attribute the fact that we did not fight or bicker at all when we did the tent? What do you attribute that to? Because again, it is the fact that we got through that. I don't think that has ever happened. I don't think we've ever done something like that without fighting. I don't know. You didn't even seem frustrated. You were pretty regulated to begin with.
So that's one thing that I think was very helpful, is that my baseline level of regulation at this point in my life, I'm starting
and that's after a 7-hour car ride.
Right.
Usually by that point you would have been done.
Right. So I think I was extremely regulated.
Yeah.
Which meant that I had capacity to explain things without getting frustrated.
Yeah. Also, there was one part I do remember, I asked, I was I'm confused, can you tell me that again? Or I explicitly, communicated that I didn't understand something.
Yep.
Instead of just trying and doing it wrong.
Right. Or, thinking you understood what I said without actually. So that's another thing. I think our level of communication was at its highest level it's ever been. I think we both know ourselves well enough and know how we interact well enough where you can say something like, I didn't really understand that. Can you say it again, or can you say it in a different way? I think that was really helpful.
We also made it clear, that was our plan. We got there and we knew we were both going to work on setting the tent up. So there were no expectations that weren't being met because we both knew what the plan was. Whereas usually, you would have had this already in your mind that, when we get there, we're going to set up the tent. And you would never have said that.
I would have assumed that you just would have also had the same plan.
And so then I'd be off talking to my family or, working with, and I'd just doing something with the kids. And, yeah.
And I would just do it by myself, even though it's a lot easier to do with another person. Yeah. And I would have just, I would have played a little bit of, the martyr in that scenario. And I think, so I expressed, look, we're going to get there at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. it would make me feel really good to know that our tent is set up and that everything is set up, especially before it gets dark out. I also want to make sure that you have told your parents that this is what our plan is, so that way either they can watch the girls or at the very least they can leave us so that way we can do this.
Yeah.
And so I think
communication, man.
We both up front expressed what we needed. We both heard what the other person needed. And specifically in this instance, I think I did a very good of just expressing, this is what I'd like to do. This is what I need to have happen. You agreed with that plan. You felt that that was a good plan. You got behind it. You supported it. And then we had both had the capacity to communicate effectively while we were putting the thing together.
Yeah. No one wants to be setting a tent up in the dark either.
No.
So that was a good call. Because then we also got the air mattress in. We put all the suitcases.
All the bedding was set up.
Ready,
yeah.
And then we could just chill.
Because, and not to, I don't mean this in a negative way, but if you were left to your own devices, you probably wouldn't have shown up and immediately started putting the bed stuff together.
No, that would not be on the... Although I've been with you long enough now where I think I'm a lot more aware of those types of things.
Right.
Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I am a lot more proactive now in, like, packing.
Oh, I thanked
things...
you 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You did such a good job packing.
Whereas, like, that never used to be on my brain.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, we'll pack when it's time to go.
Yeah.
And now I'm a lot more thinking ahead.
Yeah. Because I'm right about pretty much everything.
No. It's not because you're right.
But we took a moment, in that moment, to also celebrate that.
We did. We gave each other a high five.
You specifically came over and you were like, hey, we didn't fight once. And gave a high five. We went into your parents and we said, hey, we did that. We didn't fight. And that was great. And it's like proof that like the 2 years of therapy I've been in have been really helpful. I was able to express what I needed. I didn't make assumptions that you were just going to have the same ideas as me. I had capacity. I was regulated, so I could express things in a way that made sense.
Yeah, you definitely, like you said, your baseline is definitely more regulated.
Yeah.
Which is great. You must feel good.
I mean, yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. I wanted to celebrate.
Snaps for being.
I wanted to celebrate our win as a couple.
Aw, so sweet. We camped with Snuzz and Mouse in the tent. I guess 2 or 3 nights in a row. 3 nights.
Well, and
it went well.
We would have done the full, whatever it is, 5 or 6 nights, but
we would have done the whole thing.
The air mattress was not good.
You would wake up in the middle of the night and you'd be almost to the floor in the air mattress.
Yeah, which for me, I had gotten to the... I mean, those first 3 nights that we were there, I don't think I slept for more than like 3 hours without waking up.
No, the first night was terrible.
Yeah. And I needed to get like 5 hours of uninterrupted sleep. So I ended up sleeping... There's this other little structure that I ended up sleeping in with Snuzz, and you stayed in the tent with Mouse. But the girls were great.
The girls were fantastic.
Really, really
good.
I
really went into that trip thinking we were just not going to sleep, like that they were going to be up in the middle of the night, giggling, all that stuff. But no, they were out. They were exhausted, to be fair. Like, we kept them busy.
They stayed up later than they normally do. And,
yeah. All in all, good times.
All right.
Right.
I think we did it.
Episode 5 in the books. We're gonna stop here, and we again are wanting you to like, follow, subscribe, whatever.
Tell your friends.
The button says.
Share this with all your friends. Share it on your socials.
Yeah, if you like what you're hearing, share it out.
Even if you don't. If you hate it, share it. It doesn't matter to us. We just want more people to listen so we can make money and retire from our actual jobs.
We've also gotten some feedback that, like, some people might want to submit some things anonymously. If that resonates with you and you'd like to share something anonymously instead of being on the pod, feel free to email us at ponderingparenthoodpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, we could totally add a whole new segment to our podcast where we just read people's experiences.
Well, I'm thinking that if we get things like that, those would be our bonus episodes, like mid-month. So you know, we do get really deep and vulnerable, and sometimes that can be really daunting for people. So if you feel like you have a story you want to share, but you don't feel super comfortable putting it out there with your name attached or whatever, just email us. Let us know you want to stay anonymous, and we can read whatever on the pod and react to it. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.